Today, we're going to talk about how you can double your sales using these unconventional tactics. All right, so let us jump into it. But before we do, hit the like button because it helps us grow. All right, here we go. When we think about unconventional sales tactics, we think about things that, well, you wouldn't really read in a sales book, right? So let's think about this a little bit. Conventional would be, dialing, right? Boiler room style, hitting the numbers really hard, and you have a boss breathing over your neck, and it's just really tough. Other things that are kind of conventional nowadays is just you might find a lead list and just reach out to a bunch of people, right? These are all conventional ways. Now, let me start with unconventional way number one. Thinking about how you can bring people to you. How do you bring people to the point of sale? So this is where you have to play the long game. You might be thinking about, okay, what kind of content can I create? How can I be helpful to people? A lot of people are posting on LinkedIn right now, and that's a big opportunity. LinkedIn's organic reach is very strong. And a lot of salespeople I see writing on LinkedIn, they just write generic sales content. It's not anything groundbreaking, and they get a ton of reach. They get a ton of engagement on it, and that's an opportunity for you as a salesperson. And if you're a founder, you are a salesperson, anybody, we're selling every single day. What I would say is the opportunity here is to think about how you can go beyond what these people are doing. Can you post a video? Can you post a carousel to LinkedIn? Because a lot of these people, it's generic stuff. So how can you go beyond the generic? How can you share some numbers? How can you share some case studies? You can even be creative on LinkedIn. You can say, hey, I put together this amazing case study, and I'm willing to share it. Just leave a comment below. It's not out yet, but I'm willing to share it with you, and you get a ton of comments. I remember a couple weeks ago, we had a new product launch coming out. I'm like, hey guys, our product launch is coming out tomorrow, but if you leave a comment, I'll share the link with you guys today. I don't have a ton of followers on LinkedIn. I have like 15,000 or so, and it sounds like a lot, but you can get out there pretty quickly. But I just put that up there, regular posts, and I think about 150 people or so commented on it. That's a lot, right? So think about how you can take advantage of LinkedIn's organic reach. Now, the other thing I'll say is, depending on the niche that you're in, you got to go to where your audience is hanging out. Let's say maybe your people are hanging out on Instagram. So you gotta focus on making a good Instagram profile. Or let's say your people they're audio listeners. So, for example, I know in the software as a service world or the VC world, a lot of people listen to podcasts. Podcasts actually has the audience is very affluent. What I can do is I can just basically create a podcast, and then a lot of people will listen. And then when I go to a conference, people will hit me up and they'll say, hey, oh, you're the podcast guy. Literally, this happened, and that contract that contract itself was over a 7-figure deal. That's me bringing people to the point of sale. Again, LinkedIn is, you're being helpful. You're bringing people to the point of sale. If you can do a podcast, great, right? If your audience is actually hanging out there. If they're not hanging out there, are they hanging out on YouTube? Are they hanging out? Maybe they're not hanging out online at all. Maybe they're hanging out at conferences. But how can you add value to the conference? Maybe you're just starting out and you don't think you have any right to be speaking on stage. I'd argue that you do. You just have to start smaller first. Start smaller. Start speaking at local kind of events. Get stronger. Eventually apply to speak at these larger events, and then you will be on stage. You will be getting the leads that way. That's another unconventional way of doing things. If you already have a team, if your company is already going, people talk about sales coaching all the time, but there hasn't been a really good tool to do that until recently. We use Gong.io, and Gong allows us to basically do sales coaching on the fly. Like, I can be in the air, I can record a bunch of sales calls on my phone, or I can pull it from Gong.io, and I can listen to my salespeople's calls, and I can add feedback as I'm in the air. And then when I land, all that feedback comes, and they can read the feedback that I've left there. That's another unconventional way, because I'm doing sales coaching where it's asynchronous. I don't need to be sitting in the room at the same time. I can be giving that feedback, and then we can get in the room later and we can talk about that, right? Because sales coaching is what helps take people to the next level. And Gong has a lot of analytics. They show you how patient you are, what your longest monologue is, a lot of these details that you normally wouldn't get from kind of just sitting in a room and coaching with somebody else. The fourth thing I'll say is, let's say you don't want to post content out there. Maybe you want to do the offline stuff, and maybe you don't want to go speak at a conference. You know what? THROWA conference. That's literally what we do for the Growth Accelerator. We throw our own events. It's not cheap either. We charge $25,000 plus for a ticket, and then people come, and then basically they get to learn, they get to meet amazing people, and we create an amazing event, and we do that 3 times a year. That's another thing that you can do. That's another unconventional way to double your sales. At the end of the day, when you think about this, everything I'm talking about, you're ultimately looking to help people. You're ultimately looking to connect with people. So the more you can help people, the better. But the problem I've always found is, if you go into networking with the intention of just trying to get more leads, that's not going to go well for you. But if you go in there and you can add value, because people know when you're trying to sell to them. It doesn't feel right. Think about how you can drive people inbound, right? Sure, you can do the outbound stuff, you can do the reaching out to stuff, and I'll talk about that in a second. But the inbound stuff I found to be very successful for us, and it doesn't scale as well as outbound. But if you want to double your sales, you got to build yourself an inbound machine. It's oftentimes it's reversed. A lot of people, they do outbound well, but they don't do well at inbound at all. But inbound is what can help you build brand for the long term, and that brand's going to be there to help you lift everything up. It's kind of like the billboard effect. That's what you want to have. The other thing I'll say is, when it comes to doubling your sales, think about how you can leverage tools such as MIXMAX. MIXMAX allows you to build sequences. I'll basically know who's responding, and then if I can follow up with them and send them more content perhaps. One thing I like doing when it comes to software, so our software is called ClickFlow, is I will reach out to influencers on LinkedIn or target market people on LinkedIn, or I'll find their emails using a tool like hunter.io. I'll basically email them or hit them up on LinkedIn saying, hey, really love the work that you do. Do you have time to talk about your experience with, maybe they're using like an incumbent tool, like, another SEO tool out there. With this SEO tool, we're building out something different. I'm just looking for some guidance on our product roadmap, right? They might say, hey, look, I have these one or two issues with the software. And, from there, it's like, hey, thanks for that. Would you be willing to get on a call for 5 to 10 minutes to talk about it a little more? Basically, what you're doing is you're collecting a lot of customer feedback, but you're also changing it into a sales call at the end of the day. So the final thing I'll say is this: if you have a product out there, and if you can manage to convince maybe your partner or your boss to give away a certain element, splinter off an element of your product for free, give it away, you're going to be able to generate a ton of leads that way. Because a lot of people nowadays, you think about like the HubSpots of the world, they give away their tool for free, and their number of leads shot up, their revenue shot up at the end of the day, because the Facebooks, the Googles, the Amazons of the world, those are going to get more and more expensive. So you got to think about how you can create your own advantage. And one of the biggest moats that you can do is build a freemium product. This is also known as product-led growth. And then that's going to allow you to take things to the next level. So if you enjoyed this, let me know what you think in the comments. What do you think I missed in terms of doubling your sales? And don't forget to check out the next video over there. Hit the like button, helps us grow. Hit the subscribe button as well. And then we'll see you tomorrow.